So you ever had a conversation with a person and they just get loud? They just start screaming. And they think after 10, 15 minutes of them screaming, speaking with passion, that they're right. I'm like, bro, you sound loud and dumb. We gotta start telling these people that they're loud and wrong.
You gotta take respect. If you want anything in life, you gon' fall a couple times before you get it right. You see, it's beauty in the journey. Lot of turns, lot of obstacles. That's the best part, to see anything is possible. Doing what I want, with who I want, and when I want. I call that freedom, truth, life, and I'm the leader. All we get is one life. Treat every day like your last. Tune in every Monday, Truth Life Podcast.
Let me set you free.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Truth Life Podcast. I'm your host, Tyren Johnson, professional basketball player in France, CEO, graphic designer, beat maker, photographer, whatever you want to call me, man. I do it all because I enjoy doing things and having fun. But this podcast is brought to you, sponsored by my website, tyrenjohnson.com, where you can go and get some online basketball training, my ebooks. You can hear this podcast. You can go back and get the full, my podcast player. You can get everything related to me. You can get on my website, man. So please go check out tyrenjohnson.com whenever you have a chance. I got a free ebook on there. Check that out. But yeah, man, let's get into the episode. Today is episode number 84. And the topic is listen more and talk less. This is a topic that's going to rub a lot of people wrong because a lot of people want to be validated and want to feel important in the world, so they speak a lot. And most of the time, whenever I don't want to say most of the time, a lot of times whenever they speak without saying anything. Or they speak too fast, or they don't speak consciously. And what I've noticed is that the strong people, the powerful people, the people that make a difference in the world, whenever they speak, their words mean something. They listen attentively. They're listening to understand, they're not listening to respond. So let's get into it, man. When was the last time you listened to someone? Like really listen without thinking about what you wanted to say next, like glancing down at your phone or jumping in to offer your opinion. You see, I talk a lot to feminists and guys I would call masculinists, and they're so stuck in their movements that oftentimes they're spewing ignorance. From August to December of 2021, I try to talk to at least 100 women per week. That was my goal, to talk to 100 women per week, 10 to 20 men. Because I had talked to men so much my whole life, I've always gotten the male's perspective. I wanted the women's perspective when it came to relationships. So I just wanted to listen. I wanted to sit back. I had my beliefs, I had my thoughts, and I wanted to sit back and listen to see what women had to say about the state of relationships. I was doing this to make my relationship better, to help my friends' relationship, and to help others that I mentor relationships going forward. And as I done this experiment, the things I learned was like, oh my God, life is so simple and so many people could be so much more happier if they would just listen to someone else's perspective or have an open mind or have someone that's not validating what they're saying all the time. Because what I noticed was that most of these women were being cheered on. Most of these women were single and they were being cheered on by other single women. So it's like being in a room with bad basketball players, like Division 5 basketball players, and all of them thinking they're nice. All of them said, I played against Kevin Durant one time in the summer and I scored 2 or 3 points and I should be playing against him. Nah, you should not be playing against him. You're not on Kevin Durant's level. You're not even close. Kevin Durant's in a total different sphere. And that's what I was getting when I was talking to these people. And the same thing with the men. A lot of men was just, they were very toxic. They were using their strength as a man to validate a lot of points that just didn't make sense. So I talked to a lot of people, man. I listened to a lot of panels. I watched a lot of shows just so I can be open-minded and hear different points of views and see what people value in life. And the information I got, man, was very troubling. And what I came to the conclusion was that most people need to just listen more and talk less. Because it's powerful. It's powerful. And another thing I noticed is that constantly over talking each other, trying to get your point across. There's so many times we're going back and forth in a dialogue, we're having a conversation, and I was getting cut off. I'm like, I haven't said 10 words and I'm getting cut off. They're like, well, I disagree. I'm like, well, I haven't even made my point yet. You have disagreed already and I still haven't made my point. So many people get in their feelings without truly understanding what a person says. It's like, that's why I ask a person to clarify many times, because if I don't 100% clarify, if I don't 100% understand, I want to be clear. So whenever someone feels some type of way about something I say, or if I feel some type of way about something someone else say, I ask questions to be clear. Because we're not from the same place, we don't come from the same societies, we don't have the same cultures. So what you say, I might take it a different way, and what I say, you might take it a different way. And the best way to communicate is by actually talking and by actually asking questions. And some people don't even have the patience to do that. I notice a lot of people don't have the patience to do that, and they resort to over talking. How can you have a dialogue? How can you grow? Or how can a conversation be productive if one person is always dominating the conversation, always over talking, always cutting another person off? That's a person that needs to listen more and talk less. But that type of person, you shouldn't even be really communicate with those type of people that much, because those type of people, they're never going to change. They're listening to respond and not listening to understand. You're not going to get far with a person like that. It is only by listening that we engage, understand, emphasize, cooperate, and develop as human beings. That's the best way to grow, is by listening to other humans. It's like, I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear what's your point of view, because it's going to help me grow. I may disagree or I may agree. But at the same time, I'm hearing something other than my mother's voice, other than my father's voice, other than my culture voice, other than my society, the way I view the world. I'm hearing someone else's point of view. And if I agree with it, that can help me. But we might miss out on very, very useful, helpful things because of our own stubbornness, because of our need to be right, because of us wanting to be validated by someone. It's tough. So let's talk about disrespectful communication. Let's talk about disrespectful communication, because in 2022, it's gotten crazy, the disrespect. It's like comments people will leave on like my social media, comments people that will talk to me online. When I see them in person, these people wouldn't dare speak to me like this. Like, we've gotten so cool with being disrespectful. Like, I know guys that don't say nothing in person, don't have many friends, don't have much of an opinion, but online, this person is very vulgar, very opinionated, trolling, cursing people out. I'm like, bro, who are you? So let's talk about disrespectful communication. The sad truth is that people have more experience being cut off, ignored, and misunderstood than heard to their satisfaction. Many times when I speak today, I have to repeat myself over and over. At first, I thought my articulation was bad, but I realized I was talking to a brick. I'll be having a conversation with a person, man, and I see them. I'm looking at them dead in their eyes, and I see them looking around, trying to find a way to have a got you moment. Got you. They're looking to respond. They're looking to find a way to be combative. They're looking for a way to push back. And I don't have a problem with being pushed or pushing back in conversations, but hear what I'm saying first. And if you missed something or you misunderstood something, I can reiterate that. But having those warlike conversations is not helpful for anybody. It's not helpful for you for sure, because you're going to miss the point by trying to be right, by trying to win the conversation. I don't care about winning the conversation. I want to win the knowledge. I can get knowledge from anyone. I can get knowledge from a bum. I don't even like calling them bum. I can get knowledge from a person that doesn't have many resources. I can get knowledge from a person that have a lot of resources. Knowledge comes in many different ways, and I want to get to all of them. Yeah, everyone wants to be right and first. Who's the loudest doesn't mean you're right. Like, so, I've had a conversation, you're right. I'm like, bro, you sound loud and dumb. We got to start telling these people that they're loud and wrong because they're passionate and they're emotionally tied to these type of situations. And most of the time, they're loud and wrong. And politics has taken over society with the rise of social media. I've seen the most disrespectful dialogues on Facebook, and it normally comes from older people. People that were my fans, that have different political views than me. I seen in a total different side from them. These are the people that I'm talking to all the time. I'm like, these people are cool people. These people are not racist. These people are living more in the times of today. But what I noticed is when these people get online, these people are showing you exactly who they are. I'm talking about, I didn't even believe like the Republican versus Democratic thing. I didn't know that it would turn to a race war. But when I started seeing these people comments, I'm like, oh, you got a problem with black people. I'm like, my surprise. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I'm not any of those things. But I pay attention. I pay attention to politics a lot. And I'm like, oh my God, politics will show you exactly who a person really is. And I was just surprised, man. I was just surprised. The next thing I want to talk about is how much you can learn from having great conversation. You can learn more, because listening is a skill. And as with any skill, it degrades if you don't do it enough. If you never listen, then it's hard to be attentive in the conversation. Like I said, if you always speaking, like who are you getting advice from? Who's giving you this advice? Who is your mentor? Like, if you only using your opinions from your anecdotal situations, that's not a valid way to go through to navigate through the world. Because the world is so big and people are so different and we're so diverse that we have many ways of thinking about things. But if the only person advice you're getting is your own advice, you're going to be in some trouble unless you're like a genius. And most of us aren't that. So we can be humble about that, right? Like, who are you listening to? And whenever I ask that question, most people say my mom, most people say my dad. Single mom, scarred, taught her daughter the same thing. Single mom, scarred, taught her son how to be more feminine. Single dad, don't have no type of emotions, taught their daughter to be hard, taught their son to be heartless. These are the only people you're getting your information from. Newsflash, your mama and daddy might be fucked up. Once again, I don't like to promote bad language on this podcast, but your mom or dad might be fucked up, bro. You got to get different opinions than them. Many think they know everything. One thing that I pride myself on is not knowing everything. That's why I'm always asking good questions so that if I'm off point, I can learn something new. The reason why so many people have problems with having discussions with me is because I'm willing to be wrong. I don't have a problem with being wrong. I want to grow. So if I'm wrong or you can prove to me that something about that I said doesn't make sense and is logical, I agree with you. I'm agreeable. The problem with a lot of people is that they're not agreeable. And once their mind is made up, their mind is made up. And that you don't need to have a conversation then. You just need to build your own empire, have your own little world and live in it. I respect it, but it seems very shallow, but I respect it. But me, I'm going to listen to the Muslim. I'm going to listen to the Christian. I'm going to listen to the person that practices Buddhism. I'm going to listen to the person that practices voodoo. I'm going to listen to everybody because I'm interested. Even though I don't agree or believe in any of those things I just mentioned, I'm listening because that's how you grow as a human. Ask curious questions. Don't begin with, wouldn't you agree? Don't you think? And they definitely don't end up with right. Don't ask a question looking for confirmation. You ever had a person say, well, this thing is crazy, right? Like you want me to agree by saying right. I'm not saying right. Like, tell me why it's crazy. Don't look for my validation. Tell me why it's crazy before I say right. Or they'll say something like, these shoes are ugly, huh? I don't know. Do you think they're ugly? Like, don't ask questions when you already got the answers already. Like, you already have an answer that you want. That's not a great way of communicating. That's you just trying to run the conversation because you like to talk and you want to feel important. We got to get off of that. Once again, man, whenever you get some time, check out TyrenJohnson.com. Please go to the website. Please like and subscribe to this channel. Please subscribe, leave a comment on iTunes. Please do everything y'all got to do to help share. Oh, another thing is whenever you guys like these clips or whenever you guys like something I said, share it in your stories, man. Tag me and everything because we're trying to grow. I'm trying to grow the podcast. So share it as much as possible. Tag me. Let's get involved. Third topic I want to touch on is that bosses are elite. Bosses are elite. What I notice is that most bosses, they don't talk much. They don't talk much. Me personally, I pay attention to pimps. I'm intrigued by pimps. I used to hate pimps, but as I learned about the game, I start to understand more. Good pimps don't do much talking. They're all about their business because this how they get respect from both genders. I don't advocate for pimping, but I know that sex work is one of the oldest professions known to man. And I understand the importance of a pimp. So I was talking to this one pimp one time, and he was just like super quiet, super smooth, you know, good with good verbiage, very articulate, very smart guy. And he was speaking, he was telling me how, he said, like, you see all those guys, you know they're pimps. He said, you don't know I'm a pimp. I've been pimping for 10 plus years, got millions of dollars. And he's like, because I move in silence. Whenever you move loudly, those guys get robbed, those guys get killed, their girls get robbed, their girls get killed because they're so loud. They got 20 chains on, they got 15 cars, and they got it all over social media, and they're letting everyone know their whole campaign. And he just was sitting back, just like, I'm just smooth, man, I'm just cool. You know, I stick to myself. You know, I got some news you can use. That's how they speak. They speak like this. And I was very intrigued with them because I always hated pimps and drug dealers. I'm like, they're preying on the weak. But what I realized is that they're not. For the pimps, I know the respectable pimps. I mean, some for sure. Yes, they are for sure. Don't get it twisted. But for the respectable pimps that I know, they're not. Same with drug dealers. I'm like, they're poisoning our community. I don't respect them, but when you look at the pharmaceutical business, how can I judge the drug dealer? You know, so I looked at the drug dealers. I'm looking at the guys that was in the hood, that was taking care of the hood. Those dudes didn't speak much. When they came on the scene, they got respect and they had to say a word. But then you got the loud guy that's just loud, goofing off. Nobody taking him serious. Women don't want him. The men in the town don't want to be like him. They want to be like the guy that's standing on principles, standing on his morals. He's coming in, he's making a difference. Nobody knows what he's up to. That's why they say the best killers, they call them stone cold killers, meaning they don't show no emotions. They just listen, they take in the environment, they take in the situation, and they see where it's weak at, and they attack from that angle. The plug rarely talk. You know what I'm saying? I just got into that, but yeah, the plug rarely talk. Every plug I met was quiet. I mean, I wasn't in the drug business, but I was around it. Just being honest. You know, this podcast is all about being honest. But the plug rarely talk, man. The plug's like, what's up? What's the business? Get the business done, and it's over. He's one of the most effective people in the operation. Let's talk about great coaches. If you notice, most great coaches are pretty quiet because they expect excellence. Phil Jackson, any great coach, you know, they're calm and they're non-tolerant for bullshit. You don't see Greg Popovich just going crazy like that. He might wild out every now and then, but for the most part, Greg Popovich is very cool, calm, and collective because he has no reason to go crazy because of the respect that he gained by being Greg Popovich. You know? To conclude, everything we just talked about, man, we going on for a while, and I like to keep it short, around about 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes. We're going to go a little bit over, but living in a world where attention is very important, communication has changed. Understand, communication has changed, man. The way you communicate is very important today. I want you to be the most dangerous person in the room, not the loudest. When everyone knows all your thoughts, you're at a disadvantage. When you're quiet, you're unpredictable. You want to be unpredictable, man. You don't want to be the loudest in the room because today that gets you killed, robbed, set up. People can fact check you now. People can see what you're really about. Be unpredictable. Look at the greats. They're pretty humble. They're quiet and good listeners. Reverse engineers. You know, Kevin Durant, he's quiet on the court. They say he talks shit. You know what I'm saying? I talk shit on the court. But for the most part, you look at my demeanor, I'm a quiet guy. I'm observing. You don't see really LeBron out there just every time he scores, he's pumping three to his head. You don't see Steph Curry. Most Steph Curry do is he pump 2 times to his chest and give a thanks to God because he's religious. Most of the great players, they don't celebrate. Most of the great players, they don't celebrate whenever they score. You know, most of the great players, hey, man, I've been here before. I'm going to act like it. I listen to all my friends. Those who don't support, I stay quiet. I see them. This is a big thing. This is the last topic I want to touch on. I listen to all my friends, right? And those who don't support me, I stay quiet. I see them sharing other people's contents and not mine, right? So, you know, I'm trying to grow this podcast. You know, I'm working hard on this. I'm studying these topics. And you don't get support. You know how many friends I know that don't know I have a podcast? My family members don't even know I have a podcast. But they say they'll support me. Now, if this podcast blow up, the conversation is going to be different. You know, but I know who supported me. I know who's been supporting me. I got a very small audience, and I'm cool with that because I'm just trying to touch a few people's lives. That's it. If it grows to be big, then cool. I'll take that, but that's not the intention. But talk less and listen more and pay attention. I got friends that share some of the most ignorant shit. I got friends that share things all day. If you're not a sharer, I understand. But if you're sharing things all day and you're not sharing my stuff, I'm just listening. I'm paying attention to you. I'm paying attention to you because you're supposed to give me feedback whether you like it or if you don't. If you don't like it, you're supposed to be telling me that this shit's whack. It doesn't resonate with me. And if you like it, you should tell me that to give me more confidence to keep on going. And if you're a sharer, you should share my post. So it's no excuse. If you really, truly my friend, you can support by telling me that something is not good. You can tell me my product is not good. If you're a real friend, I should take that advice and I should take that and use that as great feedback. But if you don't tell me it's good, you don't tell me it's bad, you don't share it, you don't tell other people, it's like, I'm listening because when it blows up, just like everything else did in my life and in a person's life that's very ambitious, when it blows up, don't act like you was there from the beginning. Don't start asking me for bread. Don't start asking me to come on these trips. Don't ask me for no favors. Nah, it's done. And I don't feel bad about any of it. No relationship is going to be done. I'm just returning the favor. I'm doing the same thing you did to me. I'm doing it to you. If we're friends, like we're friends, I'm supposed to get feedback. Because I'm telling you, man, talk less, listen more, pay attention to see how people are moving around you and watch what you discover. Once again, man, please like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a review on iTunes, connect with me on Spotify, connect with me on IG. Anywhere you can find me, anywhere that's social media, you can find me, man. Thanks a lot, man. Until next time, to live a truth life, you got to make them pay every day. I'm out.